History of Wrap is sponsored by Wrap Fam Unleashed, the only worldwide monthly digital magazine dedicated to the wrap vinyl industry. Each issue is loaded with knowledge from industry leaders such as Brent Knott, John Duver, Adam Sumner, Dallas Fowler, Matt Richard, Vanessa Ulmer, Tyler Dunn, and many, many more. Read all these issues and get all of the info at thewrapfam.com. That's thewrapfam.com. I want to take this opportunity to tell you about one of my new projects. Now, I am a jeans and t-shirt kind of guy, always have been. As well as starting a wrap business and doing this podcast, I also have a passion for design. I was a designer before I was ever a rapper and found a long time ago that I don't just like seeing my designs on vehicles, but on t-shirts as well. The designs are usually pretty simple, but I figured if I like them, maybe you will too. Stuff your wardrobe at wraptees.com. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the episode. We got Matthew Wolynski this time around, better known as the tallest rapper alive. You guys have probably seen him at shows. He's a 3M trainer, had his own business for a long time, trained with elite rappers for a long time. This guy is pretty amazing. So check it out. Coming up, he took some time out of his day. He walked his dog. It was pretty cool. We had a nice little conversation, talked really just about pretty much about everything. Really, there wasn't, I don't know if there was a subject we didn't cover, but we didn't really stay on anything really too long. So I hope you guys enjoy this. This is episode 9, I believe. And I already have recorded 10, 11, and 12. So be on the lookout for those. I think I'm going to get back on my 2 a month schedule, and that's just because that's what my hosting plan can handle. So last thing, if you guys just heard my Wrap Tees ad, don't forget to use code WrapPod10 for 10% off your order of any shirts. And I actually just put up 2 new designs. So go over there, wraptees.com, check that out. And if you get anything, WrapPod10 for a little discount for you. Again, hey, enjoy the episode. Shoot me some comments, like, subscribe, all that kind of jazz. And let's get on it. See ya. Hey, what's going on?
I was going to say, I didn't see an email.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I put it together and didn't hit send. I honestly have no idea. So
okay, it's all good.
That one's on me.
It's all good. I'm at the shop right now, but my dog needs a walk, so this is actually like perfect timing because I was like, you know what, it's beautiful out. Might as well enjoy it.
Yeah, right on. There's no way I could do this and walk my dog at the same time.
I'll be honest, man. I don't know. We're gonna see how it works. Because worst comes to worst, I can always just walk right back. I just got to get her set up on the leash.
Yeah.
And this morning we came to the shop early, ended up doing some work, and then she was like, she's in heat right now, so she really doesn't like want to do anything.
Oh.
So it's like, you get to a point where you're like, your usual routines are great, but when they're in heat, it's a whole nother story. It's kind of like she just sat there like, hey man, I don't want to go anywhere. I was like, all right, I mean, we could go to the shop and we could just hang out there.
Right.
But and plus when it's so nice out, I feel like I try to take advantage of this as long as it lasts in that respect.
Yeah, we're getting some really good stuff right now too. The past couple of weeks has been amazing. Like, it's perfect weather for just about everything except, well, I was going to say maybe swimming, but just because my kids wouldn't get in the pool last weekend because it was too cold.
Oh, you said last weekend was too cold for you guys?
Yeah, it's been really, really nice. But like we have a like a neighborhood pool. We went down to it and like my 7-year-old got in and she was like, "It's so cold.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna get back in."
Yeah, that's where right now I would say is like the perfect morning weather where you get to like wear like a sweatshirt and honestly it's like crisp, like perfect. Like you could still wear shorts, but I think it's more of you know, you totally need a sweatshirt to like kind of just cuddle up in with a nice warm cup of coffee.
Yeah.
It's like dude, that's my favorite thing in the world to do in the morning is quite literally just sit there in the backyard and you know let her relax and let her chill and just get that little bit of morning sun that comes in. It's
Yeah.
like the most peaceful thing.
Yeah, right on. Did
But
you happen to go out to WrapsCon last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it was?
yes, I did.
Did you?
It was a lot of fun. We got to actually, or for that matter, I got to work with them in a little bit of a different capacity this year too. And what I ended up doing was I helped them with marketing. So we ended up actually going out to the show specifically with them. And I was working for them doing the marketing aspect of things all week, which is why you saw so many videos on Instagram and like different forms of content when it came down to it of the whole show. So that was a lot of fun. 'Cause I think that was a whole new experience for me and them, and realizing, I guess, the need of truly what they needed as a company was a little more brand support
Yeah.
and just that. I don't know. I just feel like when you look at their page and you look at the way it's being marketed, not a lot of people know what's going on.
Yeah.
And that to me is super important to be able to kind of get them out there with that. Because I mean, dude, come on, let's be serious. $15,000 for a competition is no small sum,
Right. Yeah,
you
that's
know.
huge.
And that to me is that's a really that's a blessing for our industry. So to not promote it and to not put it out there and just show people kind of what really like that's even there or that's even a possibility it's almost doing a disservice. So when I did it, I said to myself, I was like, you know what? My wife is uh literally at the time she was 8 weeks coming on 7 weeks left in the pregnancy. And I know I'm not going to SEMA. So I was like, you know what? Like let's go all out with RapsCon and try to really kind of just get that last push before the baby comes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool. Is it your first or second kid?
First.
First.
I
Congrats.
I would say it's my second because of this little monster. But it's other people are like, oh, you can't really compare a dog, and thank you, I appreciate it. But her being a German Shepherd, man, she's so smart and just so intelligent. When you get down to it, like dude, I never thought a dog could be this intelligent. Like I knew that shepherds were smart, but it's next level. And she listens to every little word. And the more training we've done with her over these year and a half, it's it's an eye-opening experience because like even with my wife, especially being pregnant right now, anytime we go out, she'll sit there and she'll stay in heel with me, and then once my wife walks up ahead, she literally pulls up ahead to sit at heel and be ahead of my wife, and literally just like a hawkeye. I'm like, who's coming over? Like it's a really cool thing.
Yeah. Yeah, man, those those babies, those human babies, they'll change everything for you. You thought you
Yeah.
had your life figured out, but Once that
That's
little
literally what
one,
everyone says.
yeah, once that little one comes into the world, you're gonna be like, what is this? It's a whole new thing, man. You're gonna fall in love instantly all over again,
Yep.
and you're gonna see life from a whole new perspective, and dude, everything changes. So
Yeah.
it's crazy.
Well,
It's
I think perspective wise, I've had a lot of changes happen over these years, and I think I've gotten to a point where I appreciate things a lot more. So this is definitely going to be, like you said, you're going to fall in love and quite literally be like, this is my kid, man. Like this is a mini me, which is
yeah.
scary,
Mhm.
just in and of itself. But I'm down for the challenge, and for us, it took us 2 years to finally get pregnant in that sense. And we went through IVF, which was not an easy road. And I'll tell anybody that listens to this podcast, if they ever are involved in IVF and they have a moment where they need to just talk to somebody, don't hesitate to reach out, because it's a really hard experience. And what I'll tell you, once it happens, man, it's like I'm so hyped and ready, and I get so many different people telling me different things of like, it's gonna be a lot. It's gonna be a dude. I am so ready for that. Like, and I know I'm not at all at the same time. But I made it so that I saved up some money so that way I could take some time off, be with the kid, be with the family, and kind of be there for my wife and child. And I'm probably gonna take like a month off uh when obviously once the baby comes, and then that way I can kind of like take a little bit of a break and just be able to fully be there to that level that everybody wants to be.
Oh yeah.
You know, we happen to be really lucky with the businesses we have. And trust me, I know the juggling is not going to be easy, but I'm fortunate enough to be able to have a shop that's a mile away from my house.
Yeah.
So when I tell you, like, I know I'm going to be groggy and sleepy and like one eye open at some points, and I'm going to be sitting there like, well, I got to get this project in. And, I'm okay with that because like, I just got to go a mile. Even if I spend 2 hours, come back, do what I have to do at home, go back. Like I'm so lucky to be able to have that so close to home.
Yeah. Yeah. And with now,
So,
like now you can, I mean, heck, you could set up even a little like nursery in the shop or whatever. I
yep,
do, but I had my first one, like I worked at a sign shop at the
yeah,
time when my first baby was born, and I would take her in to work with me. I'm like, I don't have childcare right now. So she's just gonna hang out in her
yeah,
pumpkin seat while I
yeah.
do what I need to do, for an hour. That's what you do. You do parenting is not for the weak.
No, I
So
definitely. I think that's one good part. Like me and my wife is she's amazing. She is such a strong woman, and she's her job. She works at a local college, and she actually teaches surgical tech. So
mhm.
she used to be a surgical tech in the hospital, and then during COVID, ended up getting lucky and got a call from her professor, and they were like, "Hey, you want to take over my position at the college?" And that helped a lot because now she's a teacher. So her schedule is a lot easier to work around, especially with mine, because I'm able to literally sit there and say, "Okay, I'm gonna go to, you have work from, 4, so leave the house sometimes at 4:30 in the morning, and she'll be back by 12 or 2 or 3, and then it's like, all right, well, I'll take the dog and go to work." And it's like, if we have to juggle it, and I have the baby, she has the baby, we juggle whatever schedules we need to, I know it'll work.
Yeah. Yeah, support
You just,
system is really important too. You guys, and, especially if you have parents or friends or family, whatever around, like that's huge. Your support system, like when they say it takes a village, like to raise a child, like dude, that's no joke. You
yeah,
know, that's absolutely no joke. I mean, I lived about an hour away from where I grew up when our first one was born, and we ended up moving back closer to home just so we could be closer to family. And dude, that makes a world of difference.
yep. Yeah, we're lucky. I mean, Long Island is, as much as it's a big place, it's also a pretty small place when it comes down to it. And, you know, like my parents are probably 25 minutes, and then her mother is actually in the process of moving right now to actually get closer because she was about 50 minutes, and now she's 25 minutes as well. And they're just buying a house, and you know, it for us, we couldn't be luckier because she's also literally just retired.
Oh yeah.
So she planned it where she was like, you know what? I'm retiring right like the month prior to you guys having a kid. And I don't know how, but somehow she found a house at the perfect timing in this market,
Wow.
which you know, is not easy. But it worked out really, really well, and she's going to help us too. So, you know, that's why I'm not like, I am worried. I think I'm more worried about the unknown, you know, like everyone says, like not knowing what to do, specifically with, you know, obviously being a parent and, you know, taking care of your child. And as some of my friends said, you know, you just got to keep them alive. It's the first 6 months are the hardest because you don't know what to do, but really they don't do too much. You know,
Hmm.
they need sleep, they need to eat, and you know, they need some love and care. And I think I definitely have that as well as our family has it to give in that sense. So it's definitely going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, right on. Cool. So I don't want to spend the whole time talking about parenting.
No, you're good.
But yeah,
I
but
get
I
it.
mean that's what we are. That's the whole point of this. Everyone has a story. So like, and your story right now is heavily revolves around your family, and that's
Yes.
just that's where you are in your life, which is fantastic. And the fact that you were able to, juggle, heck, going like literally to the other side of the country for a few days while your wife is at
Yes.
home and everything like that. And that says a lot about, you and her and the relationship you have, and
Yep.
and not and that you're able to do that, and that puts that just shows people that, hey, like this kind of stuff can be done. Like it's not like
Oh
all or
yeah.
nothing. Like you can have a family life, you can travel and do things, and that's part of your job anyway. I mean, you travel and do training and things like that. That's
Yes.
where you and I met for the first time in person. Like you were in Cincinnati doing a training course with Fellers for 3M, and
Yeah. I was gonna
that's
say Grim Code, but that's okay.
yeah.
We won't tell
Yeah.
them.
So, but like, so that it's good to you're able to do things like that, and still do what you need to do, but at the same time you have a family life. You can't,
Yeah.
I mean, so many people, just bury themselves in work, all the time, and which isn't necessarily the healthiest thing to do all the time. So,
Well, I think you learn over time what you can do and what you can't do. And that's one thing that, you know, through my experiences of the businesses in the past, I'll tell you, man, I've done the crazy shifts where it was you're one person doing three shifts. You know, you're leaving the shop at 12 to 2 a.m. and waking up at 6 and drinking three Red Bulls a day, or, you know, how many coffees a day. And don't get me wrong, like I still have my times where, you know, I'll be sitting there and it's 6 o'clock and my shift is going to be the 8 to 12 shift, you know, but when I go in and set myself up like that, it's a little bit different. And I think you have to say no sometimes,
mhm.
but the hardest part is having a business that's set up in a way where you can. And that's one thing that, you know, when you have a large shop and you have 10, 15 people working for you, man, that's a really hard thing to do. Leave it. But that's a very difficult venture. And honestly, that I couldn't tell you exactly how to do that because that's something that personally I wasn't able to juggle and handle myself. And that's something that, you know, I learned over time where, like I said, you learn what you want in life. And whether that's money or whether that's family time or whether that's, you know, travel time or whatever it is, you have to juggle that. And you have to be able to juggle that with your partner,
Mhm.
which is not an easy feat by any means. it's something that, sorry that somebody was pulling out, but I do think it's something that, people talk about in the industry, but I think that everything's always talked about of like, you know, how much money is the business making? Where are you sitting at everything? But in reality, you have to figure out what you actually want to make and then go after those goals and hit those goals. But sometimes it's okay if you make those goals a little bit smaller so that it's manageable with your lifestyle.
Mhm.
And that's something that, once you kind of, I feel like once I grasped onto that end of things, I charge more and I work less.
Yeah. Yeah, so
And
you had a like your own shop with employees and things like that a few years ago, right?
yes,
You did the whole, because that's where I know you from. I know you from the gold beetles that you did, from your shop,
yeah,
from doing from training with the elite rappers,
yeah.
those guys, and now you kind of, are you still doing that, or do you do strictly 3M training?
No, so I ended up, so way back I owned Phenomenal Vinyl.
Right.
I ended up creating like a, you know, an unstoppable monster at the time, and it was really, really cool to do. I had a ton of fun, but like I said, I kind of got a little burnt out. Ended up bringing on a partner, and we ended up working together with Rap Envy and with Phenomenal, and then it got to a point where it wasn't as enjoyable, and I love teaching. I really do. I love to be able to work with others because the one thing I'll say is that we do really cool stuff, right? We work on really cool cars, and sometimes even if it's just really cool projects when it comes to printing, you're working with these crazy companies, it's a lot of fun. But I think that there's like a different just there's a different experience when you're teaching somebody
Mhm.
and then they send you a text and they send you, a project that they're working on that they're super proud of or that they need help on. And then you just get the, man, thanks so much. I appreciate that. Like you see the genuine happiness and the help that you're giving. And it just, I don't know, man, that you could put a dollar on it. And, obviously I make good money on training, but I don't know. That alone is, I think, why I do it and why I enjoy it so much. Because for me, I have trained so many people over the years through 3M, through Hexus, through all these different companies, and now I just jumped into a new venture where I'm going to be working with Inozetek, and that to me is a lot of fun because it kind of got me out of the corporate side of things.
Mhm.
3M is a very corporate company. It's challenging because there's a lot of moving pieces all the time, and it's a lot of fun. And I'm still a 3M trainer, and I hope they still use me for like the trainings like I got to do with you because I honestly I love that. I think that's a lot of fun. Just being able to go to different places and everything. But being able to do that with a Inozetek is going to allow me the ability to do it at my shop and be able to play with the PPF end as well.
Okay.
And I think that the colored PPF side of things is going to be a big change, at least when it comes to color change wraps. Um, but it all depends on the application that you're familiar with. You know,
Right.
it's there. I feel like there's two sides of this industry, and you really do see the split, especially with like WFCT coming up and these other conventions where it's like, what is that? And it's like window film competitions, and these guys are. You go there, it's so funny. Actually, Jen and Steve ended up actually mentioning this to me. The weirdest part they said was they sat there and they're just watching and they're looking around and they're like, wait, who's that guy? And they're like, well, that's like the Jim Miller of this space. And that's like, uh, you know, the PG Nola of this space. And these are all like the heavy hitters that you see. And it's funny because when you jump into that space, you're like, wait, oh, this is a whole different world.
Mhm.
But that's the PPF side of this industry. And I think that when rappers, especially color change rappers get into this, that they're mainly getting into the true like I guess I would say the designer side, in the sense of like, you know, trends and different things and not so much the printed wraps as much. And that makes a ton of money as well. And I think once you realize the capabilities that you have within that space, you can generate and set up a shop that's just as lucrative as a print shop. And I think that's something that, I guess depending on which side of the space you're in, you might not recognize that as much. But, and then you look at Florida, you got guys in Florida that are doing boats constantly. And now they're doing PPF on boats. And it's getting to a point where it's like, wow, man, that's a super lucrative thing. Like I just saw a wrap done on a yacht with Hexus, the Super Chrome. I don't even know how big that boat was, but they're doing rose gold chrome. Like, dude, that job just on film alone, if what 50 grand, maybe more, and like, what are you going to end up charging for that? I would say around 250 plus.
Yeah. Yeah,
So,
it's kind of like a high risk, high reward situation there.
yes, and that's the difference. You have to be able to juggle that with a team and with the right insurance and with the right just approach because you're dealing with something completely different.
Mhm.
Like when dealing with some of these customers that I have, they're, it's a different level of wealth. It really is. So you have to really be strategic about your approach and you kind of have to treat it a little bit differently when it comes down to the entire process. So, there's a learning curve with all of this. And I feel like we're seeing such a shift in the industry as well, with everything changing and with everything just changing when it comes to materials and different products that are available. So it's going to be it's been a really cool ride so far, and I'm excited to see where it goes with everything. Just due to the fact that, I don't know, I like to play with all these different brands. I like to see what ends up changing within this industry and where it goes with everything and kind of trying to be on the forefront as much as possible. But it's exciting. Definitely is.
Yeah. So are you planning on with your I guess partnership with Inozetek, are you gonna kind of focus on the PPF side or like the color change side or kind of a little bit of both?
So a little bit of both because of the fact that they do have regular film as well. It offers me the ability to be able to kind of do a little bit of everything, which I think is why I thought this would be such a good fit for me. And, also being that I had such a great relationship with Michael at Inozetek over the years. I mean, I've known him since I started. We were sending messages back and forth when it came to like just, you know, learning everything and learning what to do at certain times and, questions on stuff. So it's pretty cool to be able to be a part of in that way.
Maybe well,
So
so maybe you can help clear the air because like you get on forums and you see in comments that a Inozetek's just it's not a good film. Da, 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 da. Now
yeah,
again, like I'm of the crowd that like I don't believe there's any such thing as like a bad film. Like you just got to know how it works, and like
yeah,
what are the nuances to it and everything like that. But when you see like photos of people going, "Oh, I just tried to remove this, film from this card. It's only been on for a
yeah.
year and a half, and it just leaves an adhesive." Like, what is what
I
is a
think that
manufacturer response to something like that? Like, how do they handle things like that?
so
Because like that's not good press, like
the
that's
the the biggest problem is that people aren't paying attention to warranty.
okay.
That's what I think it is. And
Okay.
not just that, but dude, I've seen this with every single brand. I worked
Right.
with Hexus in the beginning. when Hexus first came out and first was started with everything, they got so much backlash from everybody. I feel like I've been the poster boy for backlash on everything because when it came to Hexus, I felt it from everyone. I constantly got it. And then, when Verada stepped up, dude, he changed that company. He literally came into that company when I was leaving. And I'll tell you, man, if I knew him 2 years, for like a year or two, I probably wouldn't have left that. But I left it due to the fact of communication issues, and I moved on to other things like Elite Rappers, which I had a lot of fun with because I was able to play with all different films. And then when I got involved with my partner, we wanted to move more towards our own thing, which was why we ended up going with 3M. And then I remember when I went on with 3M, I got the same backlash from everybody. I mean, look, PG is like one of my really good friends. I consider him family. And, we've been through some experiences together that really truly that's the reason I call him family. And it was hilarious because I vividly remember him being like, man, I don't use 3M anymore. I literally threw that shit in the garbage. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't use it anymore. But it's because of the environment he works in, and we talk about it all the time. He has to use a film that works for his environment, which specifically is a higher temperature with higher humidity. And when you're reading into all these brands and all these different things, certain brands will literally tell you, hey, man, that's not a good idea. And I think that that's where we're getting a lot of backlash with them is the warranty end of things. And just the like when you actually look at their warranty, some of their films actually go down to even as low as 4 months. So it's a film built for enthusiasts, essentially meaning guys that garage keep or guys and gals that garage keep their cars, but don't drive them all the time. And when you see it, especially on their marketing cars, it changes quite frequently. But it's kind of like an outfit for them. They're in LA, you know, the epitome, the epicenter of, I would say, like streetwear. So essentially, this brand is streetwear for your car,
Okay.
but you can't be sitting there. I had somebody come up to me and they were like, "Oh, it was 2.5 years, and then it took forever to take off, and this is what it looked like." And I go, "Okay." My problem with that is the picture you're showing me quite literally shows that it's not the same color. So, what did it look like 6 months ago? Or better yet, what did it look like a year ago? Like, I get some of these calls from different shops, like friends and local people that are quite literally saying, "Hey, you know, like this wrap's been on there for I don't know how long, but can you remove it and can you rewrap it?" And I look at it, and one of them was a 3M, I think it was a military green, and it looked horrendous. And I sat there and I was like, I don't know how long that's been on there, and I don't want to touch it because that's something that's just negligence on the customer side.
Yeah.
Like we have a car in the shop right now. I'm not going to say which one, but the customer just brought it in and you could tell they don't wash it, they don't keep up with it. And we actually had that twice recently and two different brands. And I saw some like water spots and different things and like where you clay it and it's covered, like the clay bar is covered in brown. And you're like, hey man, did you wash this thing? Like how many times have you washed it in the past 6 months? Maybe once. And you're like, I got a question. When you spend $5,000 to $7,000 on something, do you just not give a shit? Like, where does that come from? And that to me is insane. But if you think about it, the average person doesn't take care of their wraps. So personally, whenever I do anything on my own car, or for now, my wife's car, I try to neglect it and I try to beat the living crap out of it.
Okay.
And every single time I have sat, like I had Expel Wrap, Expel Stealth on my car for 4.5 years. And when we took it off, it was disgusting. Mind you, we also even went as far as polishing it at one point and, light polish just to get off all the grime and everything. And ceramic coated it twice through that life just to kind of bring it back. But like when I tell you the window trim and everything, like the parts that were vinyl, that was so bad. Like I had to redo my window trim after 3 years, and it's window trim.
Yeah.
Like that's not okay. That shouldn't only be 3 years. But it's like, yeah, dude. Well, you live by the beach.
Yeah.
Literally, we were 2 blocks from the beach for 4 years out of that life, and dude, I never washed it.
Yeah.
And that to me is funny because I sit there and I'm like, you could see it right away. And I think that's the biggest problem is there's a lack of communication with a customer when it comes to what are they expected to do
Yeah.
and what are they supposed to do.
Mhm.
And if they don't do it, what happens? I mean, my last customer that I talked about before, I told him straight out. I was like, hey man, this wrap's not gonna last as long as if you keep not washing it. Like, and also, like, do you have sprinklers just sitting on it constantly? And he told me straight out, he's like, yeah, I do actually on the one side. And I was like, all right, so you got to change that, spin the sprinkler head, like, make it so that it doesn't hit your car all the time. And it's not a cheap car by any means. It's a $200,000 car. So it's like, that to me is crazy, but it's not. There some people don't they don't care as much.
So,
And I
so
and I
it
think
comes
that's
down
a
to,
whole
yeah, it comes down to communication and setting expectations and making sure. I mean, because again, like you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make them drink, right? So you can tell
no.
somebody, you need to wash this all the time, or you need to take better care of it, or you can say, hey, man, it's just like brushing your teeth. You don't brush your teeth, you're going to get some cavities,
Yes.
but you can't make them do it. Like after it's gone,
No.
it's gone. So that's my problem with a lot of like these manufacturer warranties when people say, "Oh, it's supposed to last 3 years," not on a horizontal surface, not in
No.
Arizona, not in
Well,
Florida, not when you don't wash it for 6 months,
yeah.
you know. So and I think that's the thing. So like, so that's perfect for whether it be an Inozetek, Hexus, 3M, Avery, it doesn't matter the film. If you don't care for the film and you don't care about the warranty or pay attention to the warranty or pay attention to what you're installing, then you're going to have a problem with it. Period.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. And I think that's exactly what has to be said. But the problem is the average person doesn't do it.
Right.
They don't explain that. They don't make it easier for them. And you know, I give a little bit of leeway for certain people and I tell them, but I also do a 2-week checkup. And then when I do the 2-week checkup, I'll look at it. And most of the time, that 2-week checkup, let's go. It ends up being a little bit more than 2 weeks. And I'll see the car and I'm like, hey, did we do anything? And let's set that expectation right away.
Yeah.
And I think that helps a lot.
Yeah.
And
That's something that I do.
solidifies the warranty of things.
Mhm.
Yeah. Do you offer like, so I go as far as even incentivizing it and I tell them like, hey, look, when you come for that 2-week checkup, I just want to let you know, we can actually, we're going to wash your vehicle.
Mhm.
And then they sit there and they're like, oh, okay, well, my car needs to get washed anyway. And then when that 2 weeks turns into a month and then they show up a month later, I get to sit there and say, hey, did you wash it yet? And then when they tell me no, that's when I get to be like, hey, look, this is what we need to do. This is how we have to handle it. And I really want you guys to understand that we want this to last just as long as you do.
Mhm.
But the way that works is we got to wash it every 2 weeks. here's some detail spray. My customers, they pay a premium. Yeah, they pay a premium with this, and I'm okay with providing kind of an extra service, and I think that's the part of it.
Mhm.
But
Yeah. Yeah,
there's
I have a thing where like I'll provide like care instructions. Like I have a digital PDF that I send like, hey, here's the care instructions. Here's links to all the products that I recommend that you get. This is what I do in the shop,
yeah,
all that kind of stuff. This is when you should wash it. This is how you should wash it. Um, so I provide all that kind of stuff. I usually follow up with like a text or a call a couple weeks later. Hey, how's everything going? Do you want to come in? I can take a look at it. I've had a couple people say, "Oh, we got a little issue here." And I'm like, bring it in. I'll take care of it. I'll fix it. At that time, I do a walk around with it, make sure everything else is good because that's the exact same thing, because it's our reputation on the line. Like Joe Blow isn't going to recommend us if
yeah,
we're not taking care of them. If their wrap looks like crap, we're not going to get recommended to the next guy and the next guy.
no,
So, and
no, and it's all about
and
that customer
perception is
service.
everything. Yeah.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but I do think that when it comes to the warranty end of things, I don't think people care like as much as they should in that
Mhm.
sense. Um, yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Can it wait? Okay, give me 1 second. Sorry,
Yeah, no problem.
we're always working. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, now she's finally being good. It's like that's why I had to take her for a walk. I was like, oh, we gotta tire her out.
Yeah.
But
Well, I got mine down here pacing below me, so she wants to go out. So I'll
oh
let her
yeah,
out. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
dude, that's the hardest part. You know, go ahead. You were saying?
No, I was just saying, like my little one. So like when I'm at home working, like she gets anxious for whatever reason. Like if I'm not here, she's fine. But if I'm here, she's anxious and under my feet and
Yeah,
constantly just wants to be in my lap. And she's a, you know, 80-pound pit bull. I can't have her in my lap and work at the same time.
yeah.
It's
No, I get
impossible.
that. I mean, she's a 60 pounder, so it's not too bad. But at the same time, being a shepherd, especially in the shop, everybody gets nervous.
Mhm.
They'll come to the shop and they're like, "Is she friendly?" And I'm like, "Yeah, she honestly, she wants to say hello to you. I'm just not letting her." It's like I've gotten to the point where I've really made her understand that you know, customers are here for us and that's it, not her. And it's worked out really well because it's made my life a little bit easier when it comes to taking care of her at the shop. Like what you saying, like how when you're around, it's tough. Like I had to in the beginning, and I still do it. I'll set her up on her place and be like, hey, you're staying here, but we're gonna set you up in a way, give her a bone, whatever it is, and just let her chill. And she'll have times where she like looks at me like, no, man, we need to do something. And I'm like, no, like we just did. So you're good.
Yeah.
But it's being stern with it is it's tough, man, because they're so damn cute too. And you got a
Mhm.
pit bull, so they're like the most lovable
Oh yeah.
dogs, even though they're super scary.
Yeah. She's a big seal pup. That's what she
Yeah,
is.
yeah. Yeah, I know David from the wrap shop actually out in New Zealand, he's got a what do they call that? English Stafford.
Oh yeah, cyber short, yeah.
Yeah, little Staffy. Oh my God, she was the biggest mush in the world, and she looked so scary.
Yeah.
Like I was afraid of big dogs, but when I ended up staying there for like 3.5 weeks, I ended up staying in his house, so she knew like I'm a part of the family essentially, and she got to a point where like I was able to take her on walks and like bring her everywhere, and she would just stay with me and like
Mhm.
cuddle with me, and I'm sitting there like you were a big huge mush, and you're not small,
Yeah.
so you don't realize it, which is funny as hell. But I think a lot of that is like, I know so many people in this industry that they have pups and they'll bring them to the shop, and I think it helps a lot because when you're in this space and you're constantly at the shop, like it's nice to have that little bit of a break, like I just had, being able to go for a walk and stuff. I think that's important to, one, your mental health, and two, just your physical health.
Yeah.
And having a higher energy dog, man, she doesn't let me stop in the wintertime either. So it's like, hey, like, we still got to do this thing. So, I think it's a very important thing. Plus, I'm not like a person like Matt Ferg, who was doing the what do they call that? The 90-day challenge, the what is it? The 90-day challenge or whatever?
75 hard.
75 hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I looked it up and I was like, I'm good. Like I don't think I could do that. Like,
Not
and
for me.
it's just not, I tried to for a bit, and then I was like, I I know this is all for the mental game, but like
Hmm.
I think there's certain people that are built for it, and then there's certain people that already kind of do a lot of that in their
Yeah.
life. Like when it comes to eating healthy and eating good, I think that's one thing that a lot of people tend to forget when they own a business. Um, you know, like
Yeah.
they'll sit there and they'll skip lunch, or they skip this and they skip that. But it's like, if you're gonna skip lunch, man, then have a protein shake. Like have something so that you're ready and that you stay consistent. Because the one thing I'll say is, try dealing with a customer that's a pain, like a real pain, like that's gonna get under your skin when you're hungry,
Yeah.
and tell me how you handle that.
Yeah. Yeah. If you don't snap, you're,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, you're snapping, but you're not recognizing it because your mind is not right.
Yeah.
So one thing that I realized, like I was talking to a therapist a long time ago, and I remember she was like, "Hey, you get these like little anger spells. Like, you ever think like maybe you should just have like a handful of nuts or something?" And that was the stupidest slash smartest advice anyone ever gave me. And now I constantly have literally like a thing of cashews sitting in my car. So just in case, you sit there and like you get out of work and you're spent, or you stayed a little bit late or whatever it is, like take a handful of that. And at least it's good protein, and it's not something that's gonna, make you feel bad because you went to Wendy's or you went to somewhere, and next thing you know, you're tired from it. I think that that's a very important thing with business. And you know I love the 75 hard thing, don't get me wrong, I really want to do it one day. Maybe Matt will force me to do it. but
Maybe.
you know I think when it comes to like the eating healthy and everything, I think that's hugely important as well.
Yeah.
you
Yeah. I
know
did it a few years ago. I did it once and I'm good. I don't feel like I need to do it again. And
well,
it helped. Like I got in the best shape of my life, like completely changed like my body composition, like the way I look and
yeah,
the way I feel, and like it set me up for success. And like, but like that's the thing. Like now I read more, I eat
yeah,
better, I exercise on a regular basis. Like, like so I do all those things. I'm just not as strict with it as if I were doing that challenge. And that's the same way.
yeah,
Like I literally talked to Matt this weekend and he was just like, "Hey, just checking in on you. Like I saw your thing and and we talked about doing that, like accountability." And he's like, "I don't know, maybe I might do like a 75 hard or something like come winter or something." And I'm like, "I don't know.
yeah.
If you do, like let me know. Maybe I'll do it with you, maybe not. I don't know."
Well, winter by him is tough. I don't
I
know,
know. I know.
like,
You upstate New York.
yeah, like, dude, I'll say, like, one of my best friend actually lives up there, and it's not easy because it's
Mhm.
cold and it's brutal, and it's not like, what do you have to do?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm not, and like everybody has their vices, everybody has their thing. Like for me, my vice is literally going to the bakery. I know I don't look like a fat kid, but bro, I love like a chocolate croissant, or like a little flourless chocolate cake, or like something like a little sweet. I love that. So like I remember when I read through the like the entire thing, I was like, dude, I eat really healthy, but if it's a Saturday or if it's a Tuesday and I don't have work, I'm going to that bakery. Like,
Yeah.
you can't stop me with that, man. Like, I love my biscuit, bacon, egg, and cheese. Like, I'm a little fat kid, even though I don't look it.
Yeah, you're
But
allowed to do that every now and again. It's not a
yes,
problem as long as it's part of
yeah,
your diet that you've set up, right?
yeah,
I've
yeah.
wrote this into my diet. I am allowed this.
Well, dude, I eat 5 eggs every morning, and my
Mhm.
wife makes bread all the time. Like, I'm telling you, like, I'm so spoiled. I literally ate a homemade bagel this morning, a sourdough bagel. So like, I'm eating that with 5 eggs every single day, and I get everything farm fresh in the summertime, and it'll usually last till like October, November. But once the hens kind of stop, then I'll go to like, I'll go to the store and I'll buy the free range, pasture raised in that sense. But like those little things, like everybody's like, oh, well, that your cholesterol is going to be high. Like, dude, I go to the heart doctor every single year and they tell me my cholesterol numbers are perfect. And they told me straight out, how whatever you do, keep doing it.
Mhm.
And I'm like, okay, that's perfect. Like, I love that, and that to me is so funny because I think everybody needs a vice and everybody needs something to still enjoy. Like, I know I can see like some beautiful bottles behind you. So like that's one thing. If you're doing 75 hard, that's really difficult. I don't
Wow.
really drink a lot, and my wife being pregnant, I have been indulging on like a bottle of wine by myself at some point. But honestly, it's been weird because like I don't drink a lot. So if I'm opening a bottle of wine or something, man, it's like I gotta like almost force myself the next day to finish it because I don't want to waste it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like, man, I had a Sergey, I remember from New Layer Customs. He ended up telling me, he's like, man, like I miss my drinking buddy. And I was like, what? I was like, what do you mean? And I was like, I don't really drink, so I don't really understand that. And now having my wife pregnant, I'm like, oh, now I get it. For like those random nights where you're
Just
like,
the rate. Yeah.
I would like a bright, like nice red bottle of wine that, like we have wineries all out east by us, and we're a part of one of them, and we try to like go out there every once in a while. Like we have our anniversary this week coming up, and that's where I proposed to her, was out there, where it's like super pretty, like really nice area, Long Island, and you know, that to me is like, it's like a special place for us. So we still get stuff every once in a while, but I don't really consider myself on it's like a seldom thing. So I try to do that through my life, and kind of I think that makes a big difference, because the one thing I do notice in this industry is like there's a lot of heavy drinkers when you go to these shows and you go to these events, and you're like, dude, how do you do that? Like, I walk to the bar with a bottle of water almost every single time, and everybody's looking at me like, what'd you get? And I'm like, ginger ale. Like, I'll indulge and I'll have like a nice little like old fashioned or something every once in a while. But it's definitely interesting to see in this industry. But it's nice to also see the guys like Duver, like Matt, pushing that 75 hard, because I think for some people that is so helpful. It's unbelievable. And I've seen some of it like through some of my friends, and it's really nice to see that everybody helps each other like that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's one thing about this industry, especially as time goes on, like the world kind of gets a little bit smaller. With things like this, I mean, you and I've, met once in person and, or have a conversation, and we're thousands of miles away from each other. So like, but like at any time, like if you ever need help with something or vice versa, like I have no problem like reaching out to anyone. And it doesn't matter if it's business related, personal related, like who do I know? Who do I know that's been through, something like this, you know? And I think, and the trade shows help with that as well, the people that you meet there. Um, and I think that's really great. I don't think I've met anyone in this industry who's not willing to help another person in the industry.
Yes.
So
And that's one thing that I really love about this industry, is the family end of it.
mhm.
Like I said, like PG, I consider him family. I helped him when he was going through some stuff with his son, and we ended up working on some really cool projects together. But like, I remember I made that trip just specifically to help him. That was it.
Mhm.
And didn't like it, it was perfect timing. He hit me up. He's like, "Hey, I'm dealing with all this and I don't know what to do." And I was like, "Well, do you want me to come out?" And I had a blast. Like I mean, we went through some stuff, obviously, everything he went through that week that was really hard to watch and see. Um, but just being there for each other is so important.
Mhm.
And I've had so many people help me through the years, from David, going to visit him when I was dealing with a lot with the business. I took the little siesta and quite literally got to travel and see all my friends and hang out with them and realize that there really is that community. And my wife finally got to see it when we went to Kyle's wedding in Wisconsin. And I remember sitting on the we were on the back of the pickup trucks because he just had like everything set up. John Doover was sitting next to me. Graham was sitting there, and my wife is sitting right next to me on the other side. And she looks at me and she goes, "I get it," because I had quit. I had left the old company and everything, and we had just bought a house. And I literally told her, I was like, "Look, I want to do this over, but I want to start over on my own, and I want to do this my way." And she looked at me like, "Are you freaking crazy? Like, we just bought a house, And then we went on that trip, and it was hilarious. She just looked at me like, "I get it. I fully understand what you mean about the family now, and I get what you were talking about." Because I told her, I was like, if you ever needed anything at any time, you can make a phone call to anybody in this industry, and you could get work
Mhm.
all the time. There's so many different people in this industry that would help, that would drop everything to be able to help you. And that is so like such a special thing. So, I'm super happy and super lucky to be able to be a part of this industry in the way that I am. And I'm very fortunate for it. So it's definitely a really cool thing in that respect. But, you know, if anybody does have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to either of us as the
Yeah.
garbage truck goes by. Sorry.
No, I can't hear it. No, that's perfect. That's a really good thing to end on. It's like it looks like you got some work behind you
Oh
uh
yeah, just got a
to
little toy.
yeah, to get on. Nice little Ferrari there, a
Yeah,
little Italian product. Um,
yeah,
but yeah, no, man, I appreciate you taking out time today to talk. And like I said, like this is exactly what this is about. Literally just talking, shooting the shit. Sometimes I get stories, sometimes we talk about, how ways to build a business or to get better in whatever you're doing. And I think we kind of hit just a little bit of everything today. So I appreciate that for sure.
yeah, man. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make sure I'm gonna shoot you my phone number just so that
Yeah,
way you have it, and if you need it at all, if you need me at all, anything you that baby comes or whatever, oh my God, I don't know how to change a diaper, dude. You call me up. I haven't done one in years, but I'm pretty sure I can remember.
yeah, man. I appreciate that. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun with that end, and hopefully I'll be able to post a picture with him with his squeegee right away. That
Yeah,
way we can get him to work.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, I got my oldest one now. She'll be 14 in February, and I plan on putting her to work next summer. So,
Nice.
which is good. I can finally, start paying her and, doing all that
Yeah,
kind of stuff. So, which
that's
is,
awesome, man. It's a blessing. I
yeah.
see it with Jim Miller brought his youngest daughter into his business, and they were dealing with like going over projects and different things, and it was really cool to see because it's like, hey, she's not really rapping right now in his business, but she's running the business end of things, and it is so cool to see at such a young age, and that to me is it's a really cool thing. So, I wish you luck with all of that. It's going to be a fun ride. But
Appreciate
thank you so much for having me. And again, if anybody has any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. Follow us Rapper
it.
Alive on Instagram as well. Probably the easiest way to get in touch. But
Perfect.
thanks again, man. I appreciate you.
You're welcome, man. All right. Enjoy the rest of your day and don't be a stranger.
Sounds good. You
All
too.
right, man.
Bye bye.
See you, Matthew.